This week, the D.C. City Council voted to relieve Ward 8 Council member and former Mayor Marion Barry of his committee chairmanships and to censure him. The council member, of course, is still sitting on the council. I was watching him taking part in hearings this morning, so he's not going away, so to speak. But this might be, from his colleagues, the toughest measure ever in this city against the former mayor.
It's the toughest measure ever against anyone, and particularly him. This is I've heard and seen and felt reactions ranging from how sad it is, how pathetic it is, and also angry reactions of finally, Marion Barry, with all his misdeeds, the council or somebody in authority has taken action against him, and it is major action. You take away his committee. He loses $350,000 in staffing funds and 5 or 6 staffers. You take away his seat on the Finance and Revenue Committee, which makes it very difficult for him to have any impact on setting the $10 billion budget. And all 12 council members voted against him. This was significant.
A lot of individuals with whom he has had long-term relationships, like the chairman of the city council, voted against him. Is this also an indication that the mayor's citywide constituency, the former mayor's citywide constituency, has deteriorated, been depleted to the point at which none of the council members who voted to censure him are likely to see any significant impact in their own wards or in their own future elections?
This council vote was a expression of the council members who don't want to be caught in any contagion of this behavior by Barry. They wanted to cut this off, and they felt confident enough that Barry's influence in the city has withered to the degree that he is not a citywide force.
I'm not a longtime resident, but I certainly have always heard about Mayor Barry, and I'd like to know what his hold is over people. How is it that this man can do all the things he does and people still elect him and love him?
Well, let me tell you about the hold he has over one person. Tom Sherwood has built his career around the missteps of Mayor Marion Barry, has written a book about Marion Barry, and so once he's around, Tom Sherwood will have a job. More seriously, though, there was a time in this city when Marion Barry, starting with being elected to the school board and then the city council, and in his early terms as mayor, when it was thought that he brought a great deal of change to Washington, D.C. in terms of the ability of people who were not in the loop to get city contracts, people who were not in the loop to get top-flight city jobs, and got all of those things. However, one can argue that ever since the mid-1980s, he has been, in some respects, seen as going downhill.
And it's not just people who got jobs. The fact is, African Americans were shut out of this city government. The city government until 1975 was run by congressional committees on the Hill, populated entirely by Southern Democrats who brought their own friends into town to run the jobs and to appoint people, and the Corps of Engineers and the 3 commissioner form of government. They had their own system. It was Marion Barry as mayor the first time that the city people, African American businesses, were allowed into the process. Now, some of that was corrupt, as it is in every government, but there were tens of thousands of young black men and women who got in summer jobs programs, and a program that maybe wasn't run as well as it should have been. But I meet people all over the city who will say to me, Marion Barry got me my first chance to have a job, to see Catholic University on the inside as a summer employee, or to see a government agency on the inside. So he's done a lot of good things. He built fire stations, he built libraries, he helped build downtown business boom in the 80s. None of which, all the good things I could continue, but none of which excuses the misbehavior
because
he's
this
engaged
started in 1984 when Karen Johnson went to jail for 8 months rather than testify about the former mayor's cocaine use. And ever since the mid-1980s, there have been a series of missteps that, in the minds of some people, have erased much of the good work that Marion Barry did.
There's a lot of good, but it's hard to see the good when you have such a shield of bad things to look over.
Jackie, thank you very much for your call.